There is a certain kind of mind that doesn't just live life, it feels it. Every glance, every silence, every unspoken word carries weight. You notice the hesitation in someone's voice, the sadness in their smile, the tension in a room that others pretend not to feel. You see through everything, and that's exactly why it hurts. Awareness sounds beautiful when people talk about it. Be more aware, they say. But they never mention the weight that comes with it. Because once you start seeing things clearly, truly clearly, you can never unsee them again. You begin to notice the lies people tell themselves just to get through the day. You notice how much of life is performance. You notice how love is often confused with attachment, how ambition hides insecurity, how happiness sometimes looks more like distraction. And as your awareness grows, your peace shrinks. The world feels louder, heavier, more artificial. It's like waking up in a dream that everyone else still believes is real. You try to go back to sleep, to blend in, to care about what everyone else cares about, but you can't. Once your eyes open, they stay open. Smart people, deep thinkers, old souls, whatever you call them, they often carry this invisible burden. Their curse isn't intelligence itself. It's the depth that comes with it. The ability to feel every layer of life. They don't just understand pain, they absorb it. They don't just observe injustice, they feel the weight of it in their chest. They don't just see beauty, they ache from it, because they know how fleeting it is. Most people move through life on the surface, and maybe that's a gift. They feel, but not too much. They think, but not too deeply. They forget easily, and they call it peace. But the aware mind? It remembers everything. Every mistake, every pattern, every emotional scar. It keeps replaying them, trying to make sense of what doesn't make sense. The curse of awareness is that you become hyper-attuned to everything, even your own thoughts. You analyze your emotions instead of simply feeling them. You question your happiness the moment it arrives. You can't just exist. You must understand why you exist, what it means, where it leads. And sometimes, that awareness becomes an echo chamber, one where peace gets drowned out by constant reflection. It's lonely. Because who do you share it with? How do you explain the heaviness of seeing the world too clearly? When you talk about it, people tell you to relax, to stop overthinking. But it's not overthinking. It's overfeeling. Your mind doesn't just think about the world, it feels its pulse. There's a strange irony in it all. Awareness gives clarity, yet takes away comfort. You see the truth, but it isolates you from those who don't. You crave connection, yet you can't tolerate the superficiality that most relationships live on. You crave meaning, yet meaning itself becomes elusive, shifting, abstract, impossible to hold. You start questioning everything, the system, success, love, even yourself. You wonder why you can't just be normal. Why can't you be happy with what others find fulfilling? Why can't you just live without dissecting every emotion, every moment, every thought? But that's the paradox of awareness. Once you know there's more, you can't go back to less. And so, the intelligent and the sensitive often find themselves alone, not because they want to be, but because solitude feels like the only place that makes sense. In silence, they can breathe. In solitude, they can think without pretending. But even there, the mind doesn't rest. It wanders through memory and possibility, through pain and potential. You might think the solution is to escape awareness, to numb it, to distract yourself, to unlearn it. But you can't unsee the truth. The only way out is through. Awareness is a curse because it exists. It is a curse because we resist it. When you stop fighting it, something changes. Awareness no longer feels like weight. It becomes light. You start to realize that the point isn't to make sense of everything, but to make peace with not knowing. The mind that always searches eventually learns that some things aren't meant to be solved, they're meant to be experienced. You begin to see that the same awareness that once isolated you can also set you free. Because when you truly see the world, its chaos, its imperfection, its beauty, you also see your own power to choose how to respond to it. You can choose to create rather than complain, to love despite loss, to find stillness within the noise. Awareness can teach you compassion. When you see people trapped in illusions, you stop judging them. You understand they're doing what they must to survive their own thoughts. You start to forgive yourself, others, the world. You realize that everyone is fighting a battle between ignorance and understanding, between illusion and truth. Yes, awareness makes you feel more. It makes joy sharper, but pain deeper. It makes loneliness more intense, but connection more sacred. It makes every moment heavier, yet somehow more meaningful. The depth that once felt like a curse becomes the very thing that brings color to your existence. You start to live differently. You stop chasing noise. You start valuing silence. You stop running from pain. You start listening to it. You stop fearing uncertainty. You start dancing with it. And you begin to realize, awareness was never meant to destroy your peace. It was meant to awaken it. The world will still hurt. You'll still feel too much. But instead of drowning in those feelings, you learn to float with them. Instead of trying to shut off your mind, you learn to let it speak, and then let it rest. Instead of seeing awareness as a curse, you begin to see it as the beginning of real wisdom. Because the truth is, awareness doesn't make you lost. It makes you honest. It makes you human. It forces you to face what most people run from. And yes, that hurts, but it also heals. Because in that awareness, you stop pretending. You stop performing. You start living. Maybe that's what being too aware really means. Not broken, not cursed, but awake. You've stepped outside the illusion, and now you're relearning how to live in the light of truth without letting it blind you. So if you feel everything too deeply, if you think too much, care too much, notice too much, remember, you're not alone. You are the mind that sees, the heart that feels, the soul that questions. And while it may feel like a curse now, it's actually the beginning of freedom.